from that process to surgery, was it benign, or was it, what was the diagnosis with your tumor, and how did the process continue from there?
Yeah, so the process was, open craniotomy, which
Yeah.
took 6.5 hours. And that was because once they got in there, they discovered that the tumor was wrapped around the main artery
Oh,
and the
wow.
optic nerve. So they couldn't risk hitting either of them for the risk of death, paralysis, going blind, having a stroke, and, 2 pages worth of other risks.
Yeah.
So 6.5 hours, I think it was 75 staples and 16 stitches, and 4 titanium screws. I woke up and I could see my family, I could speak, I could move. And it was probably one of the greatest days of my life, because besides being born, because I was, had a second chance at living. So then moving forward, I guess the process was just, really understanding, these different elements of being a human and our perspective, and having the gratitude, because I could have been worse off. And it was discovered to be benign. So then there was one check mark. It's like, okay, it's not an aggressive form of cancer. It hasn't spread anywhere. It could be in my spinal cord, which the type of tumor I had was called a meningioma, and they're common in the meninges layer of your skull and spinal cord. So one, it not being benign, or it being benign, was cool, very good. And then two, it not have spread to my spinal cord was another, bonus. Lo and behold, it did come back several more times, which we'll probably talk about. My most recent surgery was 8 months ago, which I was awake for. But to be in that position where it not be aggressive, not be spreading, and to it only be in the brain was something I was thankful for. And I know when I say that, especially when I'm on stage and I say, at the time when I was living with 4 brain tumors a couple of years ago, I'd say, thankfully I just have 4 brain tumors, because it could be worse. I could have spinal cord tumors, I could have it spreading to other organs and things like that. But here it is. And people pause and they're like, wait, what did you just say? And then I have to remind them, like, it could be worse. That's my belief about perspective in life. That was one of the first things that really stood out to me. And what I speak about is, perspective is essential. How you frame things and how you look at things can make the difference of how you feel and then how you move throughout life. And that moment for me was a moment to not play the victim of my life and really take accountability for where I was. Even though, like, we agreed, being 21, you're still a kid. I think you have like 4 or 5 more years of your prefrontal cortex to develop, like, to really understand who you are and about life and what you enjoy and things like that. But there was something that clicked for me in that moment where I was like, man, like, I'm so grateful to be alive, things to be worse. And that's the first learning lesson I had consciously that taught me the power of perspective. And a big message on my platforms is to teach people to be proactive with whatever it is that they want. Be prepared, because I learned how much I was doing to have contributed to what I experienced in a negative context. And we'll never know, because we can't go back and relive those moments. But I've taken on that life belief that we can either react to situations, and in some cases, it's like mine, it's a life or death situation. And thankfully, I was able to overcome it, because I can share this message with people that, can be proactive. And, other people don't have the fortunate reality of trying to preserve their life after a situation that teaches them, okay, now we have to make some changes, and it doesn't work out. And I believe that I was able to survive it because of the message that I'm willing to share. So many people go through what I go through. Like, it's nothing new. It's nothing special. Like, there's a lot of people that go through what I've gone through. And I've learned that there's something inside of me that just has no shame in sharing it. And I want to share it because I want people to feel like they have a voice and that they're not alone, because I felt that way. I felt so alone and embarrassed and ashamed of myself for going through something that was out of my control. And now I've learned, oh, there's some things we can do to be proactive with optimizing our health, optimizing our mindset, and potentially preventing these things from happening, which, as we know, we have no control. But the more prepared we are, the more probability we have of experiencing what we want and not what we don't want. So yeah, I'm just really grateful that, even though it's occurred multiple times, I've had multiple surgeries and radiation treatment and things like that. I am able to be how I am today, functioning as well, being able to do all the physical things I want to have my sight, to have my hearing, to, have, reached out and connected with so many people like yourself, and to be sharing this message to help inspire. At the end of the day, if nothing else, if all else fails and all I do is just help inspire someone to see themselves and their life in a new lens, or at a new angle, to me, that's the first domino to change. Because if you can just step outside of yourself and see something from someone else's perspective, then, there's so much possibility and potential to change and to create the life that you want.